Welcome to another edition of Lathercast Comics. This is John.
And this is Dave.
So, has it been a super exciting week?
No.
Or two?
No.
No, not at all.
Just busy. Busy. And I was at a con all weekend and I got a flat tire yesterday. So all that was fun.
What con were you on?
We were at Flower City Comic Con in Riverside Convention Center in Rochester, New York.
I totally forgot that was even going on.
So did a lot of people. We get like what? How many months of good weather do we get in Rochester?
I think it's like 15 days.
Right. So like when you have a con and the 2 days that you have a con in June are like gorgeous days, like not humid, not rainy, not like they're just beautiful days. People really don't want to spend all day inside. I'm just saying, like you have 10 months of that here. Like it sucks sometimes.
Right. It's always crappy.
Yeah. So I figured, that really has to hurt the attendance, I think. So, it was like okay of a show. It's just, it wasn't busy.
Yeah, I totally meant to go, and I forgot all about it and had a lot of stuff to do this weekend, so I couldn't have anyways.
It's busy. Like this time of year is busy for a lot of people, like, I don't know.
Right. Was Niagara Falls this weekend too, or is that next weekend?
I don't know. It's around the same time, isn't it? Or was it last weekend?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know it's around the same time because Niagara Falls is usually the same. A lot of years it's the same weekend as Heroes Con in Charlotte.
Yeah, like they do. There's one like around there. Yeah, like isn't Charlotte like Father's Day?
It is.
Yeah.
This year, yep.
Yeah, it was like the one year we went to.
Which is all right because I'm a father and that's what I love to do on Father's Day weekend.
Right, yeah. So
it works out.
Yeah, see, Charlotte has nice weather all the time. And like when we went that one year, it was like freaking 90 degrees every day. People are like, yeah, I'll go inside.
And it was super humid.
Yeah, remember?
And I remember that Thursday and Friday walking through downtown and seeing all these people who are like headed to their big corporate bank jobs and everything downtown, and they're wearing suits, and I'm like, Jesus, how can you even do that?
I know. We were sweating so much. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning and we're sweating.
It's like I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt and I'm sweating my balls off, and this guy doesn't have a drop of sweat on him, and he's got a 3-piece on. Yeah,
3-piece suit, black. I don't get it.
So what kind of books did you want to talk about this week?
So I read, just like real quick, like Doctor Strange #1, which came out, I think, Wednesday. I don't know. I have a stack of books that I haven't even read, but Doctor Strange #1 was like in the beginning, it starts off and it's okay. It's like Doctor Strange. It's peak prime Doctor in his prime. Doctor Strange in his prime years ago. He defeats these, mystical creatures, magic creatures, blah blah blah. Saves the day, and he's like, "Oh, I'd like to see Tony Stark do that." And so then we flash forward, or we come to the present day, and he's like losing his magic. He's like one eye starts to go, and he can't see all the magic creatures in the other eye. And then slowly but surely he loses all his magic and he has barely any or none at all. And so then he's like searches the world to try to find magic, and he's reading his books and stuff like that. So like that part was fine. But then he's like, he goes to Tony Stark and he's like, hey, can you send me into space so I can go find some magic? And it was like no plan or rhyme or reason, and he doesn't have any powers or nothing, and he's just like, Tony's like, yeah, you got to do this alone. Here's the spaceship, go into space. And so he goes into space, something goes wrong, and he gets captured. I don't know, I thought it was kind of goofy. Like, the beginning was fine. I just thought it was kind of like, why are you going to space? I guess you can't find it on Earth. But if you had heard, like, oh, I know this planet here has magic. I don't know. It's been a while since I read it. I don't have the book in front of me, but it didn't seem that way.
It sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, I just send me to space. Maybe I'll find something. Okay, fair enough. That's pretty big. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, it's somewhere in the Magellanic Cloud. What is that? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Meningitis? What did you read?
I read, I finished up No Justice, of course, which I liked.
Yeah, me too.
I read, I don't know, whatever I read last week. That's the only one I can remember. Oh, Days of Hate, whatever number that's up to, 5. And that was actually a pretty good issue. It was, there was only like 5 or 6 lines of dialogue in the whole book.
Wow.
But the artist did a good job telling the story. I don't know if that was per Alice Scott's script or not, but it seemed pretty good. The lesbians plot little fight thickens, and it kind of gave a hint that the girl who was working with the FBI actually wasn't working with the FBI. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
Do you like when books have not a lot of dialogue?
No, that's what I hated about Warren Ellis's Moon Knight run.
Ah, okay.
Well, I mean, it was good, but it was like he's such a brilliant writer and there was no dialogue. Not to say that the pictures didn't tell the story, but that wasn't what I was looking for in a Warren Ellis book,
Right. Yeah, I think sometimes you get it like a book, and I know back in the early 2000s they did that Nuff Said month where there was no panels, no dialogue, nothing, or no narration or no dialogue at all, and maybe 1 or 2 little things at the the last page, but the whole book was written for the artist just to show off their storytelling skills. Without any kind of dialogue or any kind of narration. So sometimes it's okay, but I wouldn't want every issue like that, obviously.
Right.
And sometimes they overdo it and they do too much narration and too much dialogue and try to be too funny and jam too much into the book. There's definitely a way to tell a story which moves the story along but gives you all the information. And I think the good writers and artists do that.
Well, one of my favorite cartoons, that I watch with my kids is Shaun the Sheep. And that has no dialogue, and it's brilliant. So, it definitely can be done good.
Yeah, okay. So one of the other books I read that I really liked was actually the Immortal Hulk. And if you know anything about me, I'm not a Hulk fan at all. I don't really care for the character. Never did. I never really read a lot of his stuff, but the stuff that I've read, I've never really. He was just okay. He was always just like another background character to me.
Right.
I didn't really ever see him being able to hold his own ongoing, but obviously he has. And this was a really good book. This was really kind of done like in a horror sense. The beginning of the book, you see they're at a gas station, rest stop, whatever, and it is getting held up by this guy. And the guy is obviously
Over his
And
head, or how's he holding the gas station?
with a gun.
Oh, okay.
He put the whole gas station on top of his head. It's weird. It's a weird way to start the story. No, he's got a gun to the cash register, the cashier, and he is going to rob this place. And he's obviously an amateur at this. He's nervous. A little girl kind of startles him. He shoots her, and you notice that there's another guy in the gas station, and that's Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner gets shot right in the head and looks like he is dead. And the guy steals the money and he goes away. And then obviously we cut to another scene where there's two detectives talking about what was going on. And they had taken Bruce Banner to the morgue. He didn't have any identification on him. He was like a John Doe. He starts to Hulk out while he's in the morgue. So Bruce Banner's body, he's the immortal Hulk now. Apparently he can't die. So now he's turning into the Hulk again. The guy that robbed the bank, or the guy that robbed the gas station, is in, I think he's in debt with this like motorcycle club. And he's kind of telling them this story like, hey, I did this and that. I killed the little girl and I got the money, but I didn't get much of it, and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, yeah, whatever. You're kind of a pussy. And that's when the Hulk shows up. So Bruce Banner had found him. And he's not this big, dumb, hulking character. He knows who this guy is that shot him. He says that the girl that the guy killed was 12 years old, and that he needs to pay for what he did. And he doesn't kill him, but he wounds him really, really badly. There's a picture of him in the hospital, and he's got all kinds of bandages and stuff like that all over him. He looks like he's on life support, and he probably won't even make it. He probably won't recover, and if he does, he'll probably never walk again. So it's kind of a cool thing. But Bruce, at the end of the book, Bruce is kind of looking into the mirror, and he's like, "I know I'm not a bad person, am I?" And then he goes, "What do you think?" And the Hulk is looking back at him in the mirror. So I thought it was a really cool first issue.
So what you just said there about that guy being a pussy. So I finally watched that Cobra Kai.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So my takeaways from Cobra Kai, my life lesson takeaways, are find balance and don't be a pussy. So, pretty good lessons. That's all I have to say about it.
No, the guy I don't think is like the biker gang calls him a pussy. I don't think the guy really is a pussy. I think he's doing something that he don't want to do, and he's in debt with these jerks. Right. Like he found himself in a bad situation, right?
I'm just saying, you said that, it made me think of
my
takeaways.
Yeah, I get you.
Killing little kids and stuff like that definitely does not make you a man.
Yeah. He was there. You could tell, like, he was so nervous. He didn't know what he was doing. She startled him. He turned, and while he turned, the gun went off and killed her. Like it. You shouldn't rob banks and gas stations and stuff like that.
Nope. If I owned a gas station, I would give the guy the money, and then as he was walking out the door, that's when I would pull my piece out and shoot him in the back.
Shoot him in the back. Yeah.
Yep.
You outsmart him. Now, how would that work, though? So, like, I always wondered, like...
It would depend on the judge. So that happened at a gas station right down the street from a store I used to run.
Yeah?
And that guy totally didn't even get charged.
Yeah, because, like, after the threat is gone, like, he got the money, the gun's not pointed at your face, and he's clearly leaving.
Yeah, but you have a right to protect your property, period.
Yeah.
And not only that, but nobody is going to fucking rob that store again.
So, hold on. Yeah, that's true. hold on. So, like, what if someone breaks into your home with a gun, right? And then you fight the person off and you take that person's gun and you shoot them. And you shoot them like multiple times and kill them. What do you think?
I think that's all going to depend on the judge and the cops and stuff.
And the state, probably, right?
I totally, and what state it is. I totally think that's fine to do myself. I don't have a moral or ethical quandary with that. Some guy came in and put you and your family in danger. And in the heat of the moment, you took the gun and eliminated the threat.
Yeah, like you just did it. You just acted,
So...
And maybe you overreacted if you shot multiple times. I was just wondering, because I think that would be a good story, actually, to tell. To be like, would this guy be found guilty of, like, after the threat of the guy breaking into the home and he was disarmed, you didn't have to kill him? Or did you? Like,
Well, that's the thing. I don't think, I think it's justified myself. Especially because you imagine all that's happening and the adrenaline that's going through you and you're scared out of your mind and you get the piece away from the dude and then your anger is there also, which was masked by all the adrenaline and fear. But as soon as you have the upper hand, like, that anger just takes over and you're not even thinking. You just waste the guy. So I don't think, if it was something like, some guy tripped you on the street and you had a concealed carry permit and then you shot the guy, then that's obviously not cool.
Yeah, it's an overreaction.
In this situation, he violated the sanctity of your home.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Trespassing. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, that would be.
I don't know what the legal standing is. I know how I feel about it. Good.
Right. Whatever. Yeah, I don't know what the legal standing would be either. I think that would be interesting to see a case like that.
I'm sure there's tons of them.
Yeah, I just never, I can't think of one,
Right.
And I'm sure it's probably something that wasn't, in the news or national news. So.
No, somebody using a gun to protect their family, they would never talk about that.
No, they would just be like, nope, magic is in space, guys. That's what they would say. All the magic you need is in space. I would, in that Doctor Strange book, I wish he would have called the Lucky Charms leprechaun and been like, yo, man, where's all the magic? I think that would have been a cool moment in the book. But apparently, no.
Yeah, so I just finished Neil talking about space. I finished the Interworld series by Neil Gaiman. And I had a hint of how it was going to end by the end of the second book. I kind of knew how it was going to end.
Yeah.
And then I listened to the third book, and the whole time I'm like, the main character, I was like, you're such an idiot. You're just dumb. I can't believe you can't see where this is going. It just, I don't know. He has this,
and it went exactly how you thought it would. Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, isn't that the worst when you figure it out?
So basically, there's this guy Joe Harker, and he can walk through the multiverse. He can go to different Earths in the multiverse, and there's a Joe Harker, and then they're not all named Joe Harker, but basically there's a version of him on all these Earths, and they all have this ability. And then there's this big spectrum. There's the Middle Earths, which have little to no magic or technology. Like they're just kind of normal-ish Earths, and then there's ones on the magic spectrum really far, and ones on the science spectrum pretty far. And the two extremes want to wipe everything out and then kind of remake the multiverse in their image, kind of split it up and make it in their image. And they all train on this ship called Innerworld. And not the bad guys, the Joe Harkers. And there's the old man Harker. And in the second book, they introduce Time Watch, and they kind of make sure that the timeline doesn't get screwed up. So they've introduced time travel, and the whole time I'm like, you dummy, you are the old man. Like, you don't see this, because he finds a version of Innerworld that's like way far, far, far in the future, and it's like wrecked. And he brings it back to life, and he starts recruiting people himself because he still has to save the multiverse. And they save the multiverse, and they bring the ship to Time Watch, and Time Watch fixes the whole ship. And they used to have this memorial wall in the ship. And they paint all that. They're like, we're just going to start over. And it's like, it's so obvious that you're the old man. Like, you're Captain Harker that you met in the beginning. I don't know.
And he didn't. Yeah. Did you like the book series, though?
I did. Like it. But they were all pretty short books, and it seems to me like if it would have been one big long book, it wouldn't have been as disappointing ending.
Nah, I gotcha.
But whatever.
What are you gonna do?
And I also finished the Hyperion series, and
I just started. I'm like 3 pages in.
This one I feel really dumb, so I downloaded all the books on audiobook.
Yeah.
And then for some reason I thought Rise of Endymion was the third book, and I listened to it as the third book.
Oh, and it's the fourth book.
Yes, and I was like, man, I think they skipped something. Like, but I had read them before, so I wasn't lost. But I was like, I don't remember reading the part. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I listened to the whole thing, and then I went and listened to the other one. I was like, oh, that's why I didn't remember listening to that part again, because I skipped it. I skipped 25 hours of the story. I just started the first book, Hyperion, but I didn't get much into it. I've been reading other things, and things have been coming up, but I liked so far what I read. That one is the most critically acclaimed out of all of them, and it's probably the worst one.
Yeah, it's funny. Which, it's not bad. It's just not as good as all the other ones, right?
No, that right there pretty much sets up the whole series. That's what that whole book is, and it's interesting the way he does it.
Okay.
With the pilgrimage and stuff, I don't know. You'll see. It's still a great book, but it was just, the story doesn't really evolve until after that book.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. More stuff to read. Like I need any more. But I did get it, so I can't wait to finally actually be able to read it.
So I read Death and Glory #2 last night.
Oh, yeah, I haven't read that yet. That's on the pile.
It was.
You can spoil it if you want. You go ahead.
It was okay. So I probably shouldn't talk about it because I can't remember any of the characters' names.
I know, right? I hate that.
But the chick who stole the truck in the first one, and then at the end of that, she opens it up and it's a bunch of Mexicans in the back of this truck, and it turns out that the biker gang or whatever that her ex-husband was working for. Like, she was stealing this from her ex-husband. She thought it was drugs. She was going to, sell them, get money for her dad's operation or whatever her dad needed. and be good, but it ended up being a bunch of Mexicans, and they were selling them for their body parts, like selling their kidneys and shit like that.
That's crazy.
That's why they were stealing them.
Yeah.
So they end up getting, he's like, one of the guys out of the truck is like, you got to help me get my family back. And she's like, what do I care about your family?
Right.
But they decide that's what they're going to do. And then the cop, there's a really twisted scene where the cops that were trying to catch her, they're like, oh, we have to kill her. And the one guy's like, oh, I don't know if that's such a good idea. And I don't get this, but the chief of police or the sheriff or whoever it is, the boss man, shoves a hot pepper up the other cop's ass.
What?
And I'm just like, okay. That happened.
I gotta go read that now.
But it was a good issue. I liked it.
That's one way to get someone's attention.
Rick Remender got his Trump jabs in there.
He's got the Trump jabs in there.
But it wasn't super overt. I wish that people didn't even talk about it, because I probably wouldn't even notice. I would just read the book. But,
I think it's like a trend of like, it's not a big deal when it's in one book or two books. And even if someone's kind of like, it's like, and I don't even care. Like, I don't even like Trump, right? But like, when it's like in every book monthly, especially when it's like, here's the X-Men adventure. Here's, like, right. Oh God, geez, Louise, like, just stop with it. Like, and it's a thing. It's like when it's a trend with all the books, it's like every book has it. If one or two books had it, I wouldn't care or probably even notice, like you said. But when you read like 13 books in the course of a month and all of them had something in there, you're like, okay, all right.
It's a trend with everything.
Yeah.
And any TV show you watch, they're going to base the new Watchmen show on him. It's like
on Trump?
Yeah, so he's going to be the Nixon character in the new Watchmen show that's coming to Showtime or HBO or whatever.
Is it like updated?
Yes.
It's not going to be
it's
like...
it's going to be totally all new, all different Watchmen.
Is Riri Williams going to be in it? Riri Williams is the comedian now.
Probably.
They're going to buy her from Marvel.
They're like, so it's going to take place now. It's not going to be Nixon, it's going to be Trump, and none of the characters are going to be the same. So it's not going to be the Watchmen at all?
Yeah. And it's not going to be like, what was it, Vietnam and Watchmen?
Right.
Was the war? It'll be Afghanistan or Iraq or whatever.
Yeah, it blows my mind when people are like, oh, it's so bad now than it's ever been. And I'm like, I don't think so. I just don't think so.
I mean, I didn't live back then, but I don't think it is.
I'm pretty sure that things were pretty shitty for people in the 60s. Like, you got out of high school and you had to worry about getting shipped off to die for something dumb.
Yeah.
And blacks were really persecuted and women really were treated unfairly. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, calm down. We're making progress. We've come a super long way since then, and we're almost there. We're almost at the finish line. It's all minor.
Until something else happens.
It's all minor stuff now.
Listen, there'll always be something now. Right?
Right.
There'll always be something. But no, I think you're right. I mean, obviously, we didn't live back then, but I think it's probably better today than it was back in the 60s and 50s. I don't know. I wouldn't want to get drafted into the war. That's for sure. I mean, I would go, but I wouldn't want to. What are you going to do?
No, I definitely wouldn't want to go. Especially not to some place like that. I really don't like humid weather.
Right. You'd be like, this really isn't my type of, weather.
You know what?
My skin really doesn't do good.
Why don't we start a war in the Middle East where it's a dry heat?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, check, we can do that.
I'm going to have to wear all this equipment. I really want the weather to be around 50 degrees. What do you got?
I don't want foot rot from all the swampy shit I got to walk through. Are we going to have a dryer with us so I can keep my socks dry? I'm just curious. Because if there's no dryer, I'm out. No laundromat, I'm out. I'm done. Not doing it.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, you got anything else for this week?
No, I don't think so.
So don't forget to follow me on Twitter. I'm at Johnny Redbeard.
And you can follow me at Second Prince.
Hit the little subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner.
Are you Johnny Redbeard or are you Johnny Blathermouth?
My @name is Johnny Redbeard.
Oh, okay.
But my display name is Johnny Blathermouth.
Got it.
Which I should change to something more clever, but I'm not a clever guy, so that's just that.
Yeah, me neither.
Don't forget to check out our website, comics.blathercast.com. Buy a t-shirt or something at shop.blathercast.com. And all right, another issue
in the bag.